Welcome, welcome. Good morning. Welcome to the Coming Home to You Sparkcast, the sanctuary for soul-led women, healers, mamas, visionaries, and leaders just like you, ready to rise in their full light. Here, every episode is medicine, joy, healing, and truth that will change the way you see yourself forever. Here, we believe that coming home to you is not a destination, it's a devotion. It's really not about progress. I mean, it's about the progress, not about the perfection. So each episode is a step on this journey, a chance to reconnect with your true self and embrace the unique path that is unfolding before you. And now, before we dive in, let's begin as we always do with our one breath, one heart sacred ritual. So wherever you are, take a moment just to soften your shoulders, to arrive, to settle, to be fully present in this moment. Now inhale deeply through your nose, slowly, allowing light to fill you up. Hold it at the top for 4 counts, and as you exhale slowly for 6, really just release what no longer is serving you, what is weighing you down. Again, breathe in, let's together as one. We're going to really feel our hearts connecting across space and time here in this circle. And as we breathe out, we anchor into love, into truth, and into remembrance. Now, I want you to place one hand on your heart or both, and let's do a joy spark moment of gratitude in this space. Whisper to yourself a quiet thank you for your breath, for your becoming, for your courage to be here. Feel that gratitude expand within you and ripple outward to every sister listening, weaving a golden thread of connection between us all. In this space, let's also set our intention. How do we wish to be held in this space, to be received, to show up, to be? And just like that, with one breath, here in this circle of one heart, we begin. Today, I have the absolute honor of sitting down with Lorna Sherland, a powerhouse speaker, visionary business strategist, and a coach for female entrepreneurs who are ready to break through plateaus, amplify their visibility, and create lasting impact in the world. She's an Amazon #1 best-selling author, a real estate broker with over 23 years of experience. Lorna has dedicated her life to helping ambitious women turn their wisdom into wealth and collapse 5-year goals into 5 months through clarity, confidence, and aligned action. Lorna, welcome to the Sparkcast. I'm so thrilled to share this conversation with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Margarita. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here in your circle. I love that you call it a circle. I love that.
Yes.
And I also want to
Um,
say, I love that you said uh, it's not about perfection,
it's about
right?
progress.
So I
Mhm.
love that. Love that.
Yeah. And that gives us permission, really, because it's all about that weaving through the noise, weaving through the expectations and comparison. I think when we can stop being seeing from that space, we can really land in the truth of who we are. And so it's important to repeat those every beginning of the Sparkcast. I have just to give the remembrance, like, yes, doesn't have to look perfect because it's messy, right? Our message is in the mess, and I love it. So we're going to start where we always start, Lorna, with the deep rooted grounding in your truth and identity. So before the success, before the books and the impact, there was the woman within who chose herself. So
Yeah.
take us back to a time, Lorna, when you realized that coming home to yourself was the key to unlocking everything. And then what did that awakening look and feel like for you?
Thank you for that question. And I actually answered the questions before I came on, and just now when you asked me the question, you started asking me to go back to a time when and it just came to me that it's actually was in my part of my childhood when I realized that I had to think for myself. I didn't even realize, now that you asked me the question, it just came back. I didn't realize that was a time that I actually chose myself, you know.
Mm.
Um, I'm from Jamaica, and when you're in Jamaica, you get to live a certain way in Jamaica. My mom was very supportive, and we also knew that there was an opportunity outside of Jamaica. That's how I got to this country. And so that was the first time when I came here, when I made that decision to come here, was the first time really that I really did that in my teenage years. My father didn't want me to come. That's number one, right? But I still made that decision and I came here, even though I knew the one thing I knew was that it was going to be a challenge in the first, in the beginning. But yeah, that was the first time. And then the time that it really got to shift for me was about 2000. I think it was 2000. When did the market crash? Market crashed 2008, right?
2008. Mm-hmm.
And that year, I've always been a top producer in real estate. And that year was a rough year, right? That was a year that a lot of things happened and I made a lot of shifts and changes, but it also caused a lot of stress. And I remember one evening I was coming home from finishing the days, with appointments and valuations and all the things. And I almost ran the car off the road because I fell asleep at the wheel.
Mm.
That was the day that I said, no more. Something had to change. And that's when my whole transformation journey started from there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so tell us a little bit how that looked like. What was it that you felt was besides, I mean, I guess almost having a car crash really can wake a lot of people up, and sometimes it takes the actual car crash to wake some people up. So what was it about that got you to wake up? And then what were the first things that you started to collect of the truth of who you are and what that looked like?
So I really did almost crash a car, falling asleep. Literally, I just woke up in time to swerve off the road and
Oh my
stop the
God.
car. It wasn't even like it was a busy main road. Luckily, it was just a 2-lane road, so it was easy to just jump off. Um, but the decision to come into alignment was when I realized um, it was just too much. I was just carrying too much. How many times we as women, we carry so much. First of all, what I've come to understand in that period was that me carrying everything was not giving other people an opportunity to carry what was theirs to carry. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean?
Ooh, full body
And
chills.
yeah, yeah. And us as women, we do it all the time, but we do it unconsciously until, right? And even just recently, I got into it again because this is a journey, y'all. This is not a destination. Let me just say that. Um, just recently, I was working through some of those same things because it's a different level. Each level that you get to, things come up and you got to do it again, right? But back then, I was carrying too much, and I had to stop and really check it, and then hand back a lot of the responsibilities that weren't mine to carry back to other people, so that I could come back to center.
Mm.
And what that did was open up space, you know, and that opened up space for the learning, getting into all the spaces, HCL. That's how I got into HCL, right? Because HCL requires space. It's not an option, right? So just get into those quiet times and stillness so that you can make decisions from a different place as opposed to holding so much that you have no space to even think. And that's
Mm.
one of the things that I help women to do now. And I'm stepping into that even more powerfully, even after the past week. It's on. It's on. Because we've got to shift this consciousness, you know?
Yes. And what I'm hearing you say is like the method that of what you chose in your path to get back into alignment of your truth is how you support others. And a lot of the times for people that are out there not knowing what their purpose is just think back who you were 5 years ago even and like what you did and the steps that you took to get to where you are. That is your method. That is
The
your
framework.
format, your framework, and I love that you are so grounded in what you're doing that you like what better way or place to teach and to come from than what you lived, your lived experience. And what I also heard you say too is that you took time to stop, like the pause.
No
And that
choice.
has been a through line with every conversation. And it's like that moment, pause, so crucial to pause, to reassess what is not working. And that's what I heard you was like that moment that you took to fall back into your center. And it's a simple thing, but and it's so grateful that nothing terrible happened to get you to stop.
Mhm.
Um, and oftentimes I hear people like there is a disease or an accident that literally makes you stop because you haven't been listening. Um, and so then there's that reframing moment, right? When you're making that choice, you paused, you're being responsible for your part and your take, and also allowing others to be responsible for their part and their take. And you've coached so many women through this big transition and reinventions. But in your own story, what were some of the patterns and beliefs or fears even that you had to release and let go of to rise into the confidence and embody the
Um,
leader that you are today?
that is such a good question. Control.
Mm, mm-hmm.
Especially women who are driven, high achievers, we don't want to give up control. Control means, weakness to us, right? It means that, somebody else has power. No, no, your power is within. Once you're grounded in your power and you just keep centering yourself, that is where your power will stay. Nobody can take that away from you. So the illusion of control, it's actually an illusion, right? The illusion of control is one of the things that driven women and most women who are in a space of carrying too much, it's because they have no idea that this is the way. It's also an awareness, right? So control awareness, when you're aware that this, if you reframe control, you get your power back, right? And then the space for you to be able to think creatively. So it's all a process, right? So just really thinking about asking yourself questions. Am I taking control of the situation? Am I taking, that's the same thing that I shared with you before. As I was taking on things that weren't mine to take on, that's part of the control. And I think that is the main driver for why women get into, I'm sorry, my phone distracted me.
Okay. And
Um,
tell us a little bit more why driven women hold on so much about control. Like, tell us a little bit more about that.
it's all, I believe it's because there is an innate way that we are unconsciously. And most of the times, I know for me, but if your listeners can resonate with what I'm about to say, they can look at it for themselves. Most of the times, it's because of how we were raised that um, we were told no a lot, right? And when we were told no, we made up a story that, you have no control. Well, when you get to be an adult, now you want to take back that control. and it's a control that you're not really grounded in. So you take control over everything as opposed to taking control of you.
So what I'm hearing is a way of us to keep ourselves safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Safe and in our own beingness, for lack of a better way of saying it. It's a safety, it's a certainty. You know, when you're in control, think about when you're in control, there's a certainty that goes along with that, right? Right. But what would life look like if you still had certainty but didn't hold on so tight? Because control, and if we think about the word, I'm big on words, right? If you think about a word control, con means constricted. So it's a shut off position, right? So when you shut off, then nothing can flow,
Mm.
right? So if your money ain't flowing, check it, control, right? So it's start taking a look at it and really think about how we hold the meaning of the word and how we hold it in our bodies, in our minds, and then start looking out to see the responses, the results, because everything starts within. So if things aren't working, gotta go in first. If you're in control, check on why, then move outside. It's not outside in, it's inside out.
It's an inside out job. Nothing is happening outside of you.
Yeah,
I love
it's
that.
powerful.
It is powerful. And um, hmm, there comes a time too when you start to feel that, you said awareness a couple times, and it is really all about that. You don't know what you don't know, and sometimes it takes having, like you said, leadership training or a coach or a mentor or just a best friend who's going to lovingly call you forward and hold you in your light. Um, and sometimes that can feel a little daunting, right? Because it's like I didn't even realize what I was doing and how I was self-sabotaging. And that's why sacred tools really come in handy, that you can pull in your tool belt to bring you back to center, bring you back to the truth of your alignment, and to to ask yourself those questions on how you can start looking out. Like you said earlier, how am I being? Why am I, holding control? Like what is it that I'm saying? Is it true that I need to control this space? So there's these strategies that we pick up along the way. And you speak so powerfully about turning wisdom into wealth and leading with authenticity, which I think is so beautiful and key because authenticity is the highest frequency in the world. So, what practices, whether spiritual, strategic, um, or mindset based, help you stay connected to your truth while you are navigating the demands of leadership and business?
So I just love that question because it actually, and when you asked me that question, I was like, oh, interesting. Because what came up for me, Margarita, is how much I was um, attached to mindset work.
Mhm.
And okay, it's probably going to disrupt some thinking. You don't have to agree. I'm just being open, be open. Um, uh, I don't think I used to think that mindset and spirituality are correlated. I don't think that way anymore. Again, just when you think of the etymology of the word mindset, mind, set, set, static, not moving, you ain't going nowhere, right?
Mhm.
When we think about spirituality, spirit, in breath, in the question, in the awareness, in all the things, you see the difference. So
Mhm.
now my mind isn't set in a certain way, right? Because that's even more work when you got to change your mindset. That's why mindset gurus are making so much money because we're trying to change your mindset. When you set something, it's kind of set in stone. It's hard to change, but if you're more pliable, if you're more open, if you're more vulnerable, if you're more aware, then you can ask yourself the questions. I forgot which mentor or coach said it to me, that I think it was Lisa. Was that
Mm.
Lisa or Lynn? And one of them said the answer is in the question. She always said that the answer is in the question. So if your mind is set, number one, you're not going to be asking yourself questions because your mind is set.
Mm.
And if you're trying to change your mindset, you're doing affirmations to change your mindset. That's going to even take even longer. But when you ask yourself questions and the answers are coming, you see how you can transform your thinking faster, right? So that's one of the things I use as my tool, as you said, to move things along. And I also believe that that is where your wealth is.
Mm.
In myself, where I realized that ways of being, my way of being, was actually blocking my wealth. And I didn't understand it. And then I asked myself some questions, and then it showed itself. Right? So, wealth is the money comes after your way of being, not before. So asking the questions, asking yourself powerful questions, who you've been in the world, you know, how you showed up in the world, you know, what lessons have you learned? How can you implement and use the tools that you've been given? That's actually your wealth. Your wealth comes from inside of you. Took me a minute, but I got there.
I love that. Wealth is an inside job.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful. And what I'm hearing too is when you ask yourself these questions, because it's something that I've been doing as well. I actually asked myself my hip why I was having pain. I had debilitating pain for so long. And as I was sitting there asking the hip, it started off by saying it was guilt. And I was like, guilt for what? I feel like I worked through that. And then it was like, no, it's actually shame. And then in the shame, I forgave myself, but I think it was actually the forgiveness that helped heal the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Because the moment that I actually went through the forgiveness of forgiving the younger version of me, the older version of me for holding on to that story for so long, I felt a rush of energy leave my body. But I feel like when we ask ourselves these questions, it's our higher self. And I also feel like it's God or your guides, higher source, whatever you want to call it, also helping answering the questions for you. Because we know
Absolutely.
we're just pretending not to know, but we do know. Just ask the question. Is that you feel like that's where you've been
Absolutely.
experienced?
Absolutely. And I love one of the things I love about your show, and every time we're in a space together, you always talk about the breath, right? Because the breath probably supported that release in your hip as
Mm-hmm.
well, right? So breathing, that's another. Uh, Before I say the rest of what I have to say, I think that we get to redefine wealth in a way, and this is my new platform. We get to redefine wealth in a way that supports and nourishes our bodies so that we can, I don't want to use the word manifest. What's the next word for manifest? So we can see the wealth on the outside, right? Because if we're not healthy and wealthy on the inside, it's it's chaos on the outside. You know, one of the things that I look at almost every day from where I live is the traffic. And as I'm watching the traffic, I'm remembering the Matrix. And I'm thinking, oh, that's what the Matrix meant. Right? Because the traffic's going like this. And
Mm-hmm.
we're going like this. So when you have the pain, like the pain in your hip, right? And I hope we're not sidetracked, but you can bring me back. When we have the pain, you're in the pain, and oh, I gotta go to the doctor. I'm gonna go to the doctor, right? Doctor's gonna give you some pills. Pain goes away. Oh, thank you, God. Pain is gone. You're at it again, right? Then pain comes back. You're like, wait a minute. Didn't I take the pill for the pain? What is this? But if you're not asking yourself the questions, you're gonna just keep going to the doctor and going back on the highway, and you're never gonna know that the guilt that you were holding led to the shame that you could release. That will lead to the body that's going to release that frequency so that wealth can flow in from that, right? The relationships, the money, the partnerships, the opportunities, all the things. I think we just have got it all wrong, right? So I hope that
Yeah,
answered
and
the
I
question.
yeah, no, I think you were going to say something about breath, which got
And
you to that. Yes.
yes, but the breath is the start, right? Just the pause that we talked about earlier. Stop, breathe. So this is the framework, y'all. Stop, breathe, ask the questions, listen, ask more questions if you need to, breathe, and release.
Is there any action?
That's all action.
That is all action. I
That's
love
all
that.
the action. That's the thing, right? We think we got to be in the doing.
Yes. I was like, what's more? We got to do more. There's got to be more. What do you
More,
mean?
more. Just more. I'm pushing myself. No, that's the action. I just gave you all the actions to take.
I just got full body first, like head chills coming up outward. Because that is totally such beautiful brilliance that just happened right there. And it's like I really was literally going, wait, was it? There's got to be more. And then when you grounded me in the fact like that was the action, I was like, why? Why is it that we feel like we have to do more? Like we got to be in the doing. And really, it is about being in the
The be
being,
first. Yeah. So
being in the being.
Marguerite, so I'm sitting here working on this stuff, right? So this is my work. So I'm sitting here working on this stuff. And I finally realized that my and a lot of the people in this work, their idea of the distinction of being is an action word that is a doing,
Mm.
right? The being is actually stillness because if you're not still, you can't hear. You cannot hear. I don't. If y'all can hear while you're still, let me know because that's another fast track. You know what I'm
You
saying?
can't listen. You have to be in the stillness to listen.
Yeah. Now,
It's simple
stillness
as
don't mean that you're not working or you're not, taking action, but you've got to be. That's where inspired action comes from, right?
mm,
The
comes
inspired
from
action comes from the pause, asking the questions, asking the question, okay, what am I doing next? Just like you said to me that when we start before we got on the camera, you opened up your phone, you scrolled, and you asked God, which one is it for today? Which reel is it for today? What do they need to hear today? That's the action. And then when that space, whatever gets to come back pure. That's the frequency that you sent it out in.
mm,
See, one of the things, girl, frequency, we could do a whole masterclass on this stuff, y'all. And I'm gonna.
yeah.
I'm gonna do a masterclass on this. That is my free gift. I gotta give you the date though. Because I think that I don't think I know because I live this. I'm not writing a book. No, this is what I live, right? Frequency has been butchered, butchered, and that's where we get to live from. And that was the part of the awakening that I had.
Yes. So frequency, what I'm hearing when you say frequency is intention. The intention that you put behind all the action and the being.
Well, there is a level of intention. However, alignment. So frequency for me is more of an alignment than an
Mm,
intention. Because once you're aligned, you can you can set the intention to take the action, right? So the frequency comes before even the frequency is the alignment. Let's put it that way. The frequency is the alignment. You see where that comes before the
yeah,
action? Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for that clarity. I really see it.
Yeah. The
Um,
frequency comes way before the alignment. If the frequency is off, you first of
then
all, if the frequency is off, you're not aligned.
you're not aligned, and that's when we start to come across friction and chaos because it's not meant for us because it's not coming from alignment. Love
Yeah.
it. And sometimes this work can be daunting, right? And it can feel like a lone wolfing experience in the beginning. So the community, to me, is so important in the belonging and the influence and the impact that we can also create by being who we be. And so many women over 40 are redefining what success truly looks like. How do you see your work creating a ripple effect for other women, helping them find not just financial freedom, but soul freedom in the process?
So I love that question even more so because this has been this conversation is so aligned. Let me just tell you, because I'm creating a community of women like this, right? Because I'm in a lot of rooms and I'm not judging any of them or anything like that. And I find that a lot of them are in the doing without the being at all. And so what that brought me to is that I get to be really mindful of the rooms I go into because it matters. It matters. So when you invite me into your room like this matters to me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
This kind I can have this conversation and you're not looking at me like I have 10 heads,
Mhm.
right? Because you get
Right.
it,
Mhm.
right? Um, so to create a room like that for driven women who are on this journey, who can hold each other because we don't have anybody else to hold us. That's the kind of community I want to sit in, you know. So, and that is going to create the back end, the back end of that, the results of that. That's the wealth. That's the money, right? Because when we're thinking at these high frequencies, it's inevitable. Inevitable. It gets to happen. It's the law. It's like, you know, you can't make it up, right? God gave us some laws that you do certain things, it's a formula, you know, you do the formula, you get the answer, right? Remember math pass? It's just like that. So,
So for all the people out there who are doing those affirmations like me, uh what's and if they're not yielding the results they want, is just really pausing and figuring out where they're not in alignment with
yes.
who they be
Yeah.
and what they want. Or maybe they're operating from a space still of scarcity. Maybe they're trying to control something, an outcome, an expectation. And so when we're attaching ourselves to all these results, we're not coming from a flow state. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah. Yeah. Because when you're attached to the result, then you are constricted. That's the control, right? That's the control. If you don't get the result, oh, I did it wrong, you know, and then the self beat up comes in, and because you, if you are a master leader, you can lead yourself through that pretty quickly. If you're not, that's where you get stuck, right? So
That's where we spiral.
yeah, that's when you spiral, right?
Yeah.
So not attached. Not that you don't set the intention, don't get me wrong, not that you don't set the goal, the vision is your lighthouse, right? And it because you need that. The Bible says without a vision the people perish. It says it for a reason. Yeah. So
I think that's where people don't start. I know I didn't start with a vision.
mhm.
I started with the outcome that I wanted.
Yeah, because that's how we were programmed though, Margarita.
Yeah.
That's how we were programmed. So we didn't have anything else to hold on to as an anchor. So we anchored onto that, right? I was listening to a rabbi this morning and he was talking about that. I should share that with you. I'm going to send it to you. Um, he was talking about how, you know, most people consider wealth, success, and all the things as all the things that they could buy and accumulate. Like yesterday, I was talking to this guy. I said, "What drives you?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, I make a lot of money to buy boats and cars." And in the back of my head, I wasn't judging him. In the back of my head, the question came up, okay, how many cars are you going to drive?
How many cars can you drive?
Right? And I'm not judging him because at one point in my life, I had 4 cars. And I'm going, what, girl, what are you doing? Right? So, um, nothing is wrong with that. It's your
It's
desire,
your
right?
vision,
I'm
yeah.
just saying, if it comes from the right place, that's good. But if it's going to come at the expense of your well-being, then it's something you get to check. You know,
Mhm.
you got to check it.
Yeah, and I'd like to go a step further too and say like not just create a vision, but sit in the vision. I think a lot of athletes like like Kobe, all the big athletes out there visualize themselves winning and performing and playing before they go to a big game. And I think that there is something there about like really landing in the vision and creating that frequency. Would you say?
Yes, absolutely, Margarita, girl. I just told you conversation with Marion Jones on Saturday. Marion Jones is a Olympic athlete from 2000, from the year 2000, right? And no matter what they say, she's a badass,
She's the
right? Because
best.
she's one of those people. That Olympic, she won 3 gold medals and 2 bronze. She won 5 medals in that Olympics, right? Not to mention her accolades in basketball, and that's one of her tools is visualization and holding the vision. But I want to make a distinction with that. I'm so glad you brought it up because vision is my thing. Um, there's a difference between vision and visualization, 2 different things. What you gotta have the vision first. You visualize your way to the vision. See what I'm saying? So the vision is the being. The visualization is the doing
You can't use the
so
microwave.
that you can have the thing. You put yourself on mute, I think.
I was just saying that's so beautiful and it's super simple. Like it just takes time to sit there in your vision. And that sometimes can feel daunting for people who have no time to do anything. But that's where the secret sauce really lies.
Yes.
The secret sauce really lies in those.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, you have such beautiful nuggets, and I feel like we could talk for a whole nother hour just on vision alone, because that's really, really the beginning part for anybody. So
Mhm.
for those listening who really feel inspired by your story and want to go deeper, where can they find you? Maybe they want
Mhm.
to connect with your work, maybe or join a program that you have coming up. I know you said you have a masterclass.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't put a date on it. It's probably going to be either next week or the week after, the week of Thanksgiving. I want to do a masterclass on really developing your frequency, like to your frequency, so that things can move along. I haven't named it yet. This is me doing it messy in real time as
All the
I
way.
learn. I'm bringing it to you to the women who feel aligned towards it. And so I'm probably going to do it not next week, the week after. And I will send you the link so that you can share it with your audience. And otherwise, if you want to stay in the conversation, I do my podcast on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Central called the Success Code Fireside Chats. And other than that, you guys can connect with me on Facebook and Instagram, Lorna Sherland, and my website, lornasherland.com. Let me fix that.
Awesome. Yes, and all this will be in the show notes for everybody, depending on where you're watching. They will be available to you to connect with her. And I just can't believe that this call is already coming to an end. And um, always bittersweet in this moment. I was like, I have to say goodbye. Such awesome conversations. But for the woman still out there on the edge, maybe of her next chapter, and she's feeling that pull to rise, but maybe doubts her worth or timing, what would you tell her about the power of coming home to herself first?
It's the way. The
Feeling
power
that
of
way.
coming home to yourself is the way. That's the first thing I'll tell you. And the next thing I'll say is be still.
Mm.
Be still so that you can know, so that you can know your next step. And more importantly, so that you can know you. I believe this whole game that we're playing is a game on our way back to ourselves.
That was going to make me cry.
Yeah, it is. And the sooner
And
we
it's,
realize that, the better.
and you matter for you to do that for yourself. I don't know, it just landed so powerfully. And then that's like my whole model, right? But I don't know, the way you said it was just so heartfelt, and I really felt it land deeply in my soul. So thank you for being who you are in the world, and your words are magic and they're healing. And so thank you. Thank you again
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Thank you.
So as we close this powerful conversation with Lorna Sherland, we're reminded that every wake-up call is a divine invitation to stop, breathe, and ask the real questions. What are you carrying that was never yours to hold? True leadership isn't about control, it's about alignment. When we let go of control, we don't lose power, we reclaim it. Because your power has always been within you. And once you are grounded in it, no one can take it away. The moment you pause, listen, and shift your frequency, life begins to move in your favor. Wealth, purpose, and clarity flow through openness, not force. Inspired action is born in stillness, in the sacred pause where you remember who you are. So today, take a breath. Release the need to do and come back to the art of being. Redefine wealth as the nourishment that fills your body, your heart, and your spirit. And let that alignment guide every single action. If this conversation sparked something within you, if your heart cracked open just a little more, maybe you felt seen, heard, or simply not alone, I ask you to please share this and subscribe to our channel, because when you do, this content can reach more women who need the reminder that she's not alone and that her voice matters and that healing is possible. Remember, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Until next time, sisters, keep shining, keep rising, and keep coming home, because you matter and you are enough exactly as you are. I am your host, Margarita Rose, here today with the beautiful Lorna Sherland at the Coming Home to You Sparkcast. Until next week, same time, same Spark channel.
Oh, thank you.